Scott!
What? I still haven't recovered. What? Huh? Oh, hey, Mark.
That's honestly fair, even though it ended a couple days ago. And you weren't even here for the Sunday of it. MacWagCon was a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I have my responsibilities with Theater Geeks, so I couldn't be here on Sunday.
It's true. And frankly, you would have stayed here later if we didn't have that stupid time change.
Very true, because
we were looking at it at like 1:30 in the morning. You're like, we can keep playing. And then all of a sudden it was 3 and you're like, I'm out.
No, I gotta call this.
Stupid time change.
Stupid time change. Because by the time I got home, it was 4 o'clock. So it's like, no.
Yeah. So let's get to talking about it, shall we?
Yeah, I think so.
This week's episode is going to have our What's Been on Your Table. We're just going to blend that right in with our MacWagCon report. MacWagCon, for those of you that don't know, which is
probably most
of you,
yeah,
is just an annual thing that I do here at my house. This year was MacWagCon 7. It was subtitled The Board Awakens because I thought it was funny. Last year's was much better. MacWagCon 6, Hex and Violence, but
okay,
you do what you can. And frankly, something had to be better than that god-awful tripe that was A Newer Hope. So, I'm sorry. The Star Wars sequels are awful. Hot take, Last Jedi is the best of them, and I still haven't gone back to rewatch that one. Now that we are way off topic.
Wow, if I was going to be the one that was going to be the problem child?
It's true. Well, you normally are.
Not denying it.
So yeah, we do it every year around my birthday, and we just have a whole bunch of people come through. And over the course of roughly 48 hours, because we start on Friday night at 7 p.m., and this year we ended around 5 p.m. on Sunday, I played 26 different sessions of 25 different games. And the largest single game that we had was 12 people.
I was here for... Well, so this is like my 3rd or 4th MacWagCon. Yeah, I think it's my 3rd. Well, I started after pandemic, so yeah, it'd be like...
Yeah, this would have been your 3rd.
This would be my 3rd.
Yeah, because you've played Twilight Imperium twice.
Yep.
We did not play Twilight Imperium this year for this weekend because we just need to play too much other stuff.
Yeah.
And we got a lot played. We cleared out a bunch from the unplayed shelves and a lot of the what we need to get played for other publishers and all that. So
yeah.
It was very useful that way.
It was very nice. Yeah, because got here. I was one of the first ones on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Got here. We had the friends come in. We're playing the games. We're doing the stuff. And then the friends leave. And you and I look at each other like, okay.
And here we go.
And then we start playing some of the games that we knew we needed to get off of that list. And then went home, turned around.
It was
back.
almost 5 a.m. when we finished, and then you were back here just after noon.
Yep. And to start all over again.
Totally worth it.
Oh, the fact that, that's why we go to cons.
Yeah.
You go to cons to play a bunch of stuff, to hang out with your friends, to eat food, and have a good time.
With the exception of
check.
Gen Con is different because it's Gen Con,
yes.
But even still, most people are going to go for the gameplay.
Yeah.
And if I get 6 games played across all of Gen Con, it's a good con for me because I'm so busy doing everything else.
Right.
So being able to sit there and say, like, in essentially 2 days, I played 26 games, felt real good.
Yeah, because I got 19 in.
Well, you only missed, I guess, 5 games because I did play 2 games with my son on Sunday, which is great. And then we played 3 on Sunday. So, yeah, it was something like...
We did it specifically, like we had some separate groups playing stuff by ourselves and stuff like that. So
yeah, I taught Austin Far Away while making mac and cheese for all the kids.
Right, and then you guys got to play...
Scales of Fate from
Ivy Studios, which...
Let's put it this way, guys. By the time this episode has come out, the Kickstarter has launched and our preview content is up for it.
Yeah.
We recorded an absolutely swear-laden unofficial review that we sent into the Ivy guys because that's how much we enjoyed it. And we knew we had to get it out somehow.
Yeah, mind you, maybe at some point in time we'll actually release it. But, we did it, and I sat there and looked at it. You should just send it to them for just pure giggles.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that I was right that you should have done it, but I was right, and I'm glad you did it.
I mean, I was going to anyway.
Right, I figured you probably would, but I'm glad I was like, yes, you need to do this.
I mean, Scales of Fate, you looked at me and you're like, Jason hasn't played it, Austin hasn't played it, and frankly, I played it again. I'm like, oh no, I have to play more Scales of Fate. Darn. And you guys were in the middle of Q-Birds or something, and I walked by with it in my hand. You're like, "Are you gonna play it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am."
You went upstairs to go hang out with Austin, make food for the kids. That's when you did Far Away. And our Q-Birds game just took too long. I mean, because of course I was mean and made everybody recycle their hands as many times as I possibly could.
Shocker.
Because
it wasn't me doing it.
Because it wasn't you doing it. Oh yeah, your wife was. We were not friends. She's like, and she looked at me. She's like, "You're gonna do it, aren't you?" I'm like, I don't have anything. If something pops up and I can do, I won't.
Yep.
But if you guys keep playing birds that I don't have, guess what? And she's like, Scott. And she and I were not friends.
I believe that.
Yeah.
She gets very mad at me in that game.
Yeah.
So there were a few games that I wanted to just highlight. These aren't necessarily going to be reviews. We can save all that for later. But just the stuff that we got to play that I felt was worth bringing up in a way that... Because some of the games I'm going to use later.
Oh, yeah.
The first being Ready, Set, Bet. We got it to the table. We had me calling the horse race, and we had 8 players. And man, that game is great.
Yeah, I came in second.
You came in second.
Yeah.
Natalie ended up
Natalie won it, but boy, did I come out of nowhere.
I am very interested to see what the play experience as a bettor is, but I know based on who I am, I'm just going to have more fun being the race announcer because you're sitting there and you're flinging dice and you're trying to improv and come up with as funny and quick of a informative and useful set of information of, 7's out of the gate and now 7 is going again and 8's chasing and now, oh my gosh, 8 rolled again. So it's way in the lead. And, there are definitely moments for me to improve my style, and that'll happen over time.
Well, yeah.
But I remember sitting there and just being like, okay, where are we at? And thinking like, okay, the race is over. And you guys were all just standing up, and it was chips everywhere across this giant board. Oh my God, it was
hysterical.
Because you were all sitting at first. I'm like, everything that I know about this says you're all going to be standing. And by the third race, not a single person was sitting down.
Third race is when I made my money because, I was tired of fighting for people to get horses. So I was like, I'm just going to do the whole thing on top, across the top. Bets. All the little prop bets, which got me the lead. So I was in that final race. I had the most amount of money. And everyone's like, how did you do it? And I'm like, I did this because I couldn't get to the horses because y'all were blocking me. And I'm like...
And we're playing on the high roller edition. So literally the betting mat is 2 feet
massive.
by 4. It is huge.
Honestly, it almost feels like you need to have your own separate table. And then that could have...
what's nice is thankfully I have a long enough table that I was able to do everything. Everybody was able to get around it. But yeah, man, you guys were...
It was a knife fight trying to get those spaces.
I was sitting there thinking, this is so much. And I would look over partway through, and I'm just sitting there flinging dice as fast as I can. And you guys had filled that board so fast. Or at least it feels so fast.
Oh, no. I knew that I needed to grab spaces as fast as I can initially. I saw where the horses were going. Well, then the problem was then that first race, no one did anything. My chips were gone, and most people still had their chips because they were looking to see where the horses were going to lie.
Yep.
And so then all of a sudden they realized, the horses were moving, and then some of them missed out on spots. And so then all of a sudden that second one, I think I still had chips in my hand, and most of the team didn't because they were like, 8 moved 3 spaces. That's all I need. Slap down all my chips on.
And because the game is so smart about giving the other horses a boost if they roll twice in a row. 7 normally did well, but in the 4 races that we ran, 7 didn't win once.
7 didn't win once.
And there was one race that I believe 12 won, and 2 was 3 spaces behind it. Just wild, crazy responses to that game. Super great. Really love Ready, Set, Bet. I would hate to play it on the small board, though, because that stuff is teeny tiny, especially comparatively. Now, that said, the High Roller Edition looks so dumb in my collection because it's so big and so out of place.
Right.
It is overwhelmingly large.
But I'll be honest, that's going to be the game that you're going to bring out more often now. You're going to that's going to make an appearance probably every single MacWag.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you'll make excuses to have us over.
Anytime that we have a big group over, it's such an easy and quick experience. Yeah. I was thinking I'd bring this to Gen Con that I realized no, my voice is going to be so shot from doing what I normally do that there's no way I'm going to be able to call the horse races on top of it. I would be ruined.
That would be dumb.
So that one was real positive for me. Really like that one. We finally got you to play Millennium Blades.
Yeah.
And I finally got to play it at 6 players, which I don't think I would recommend.
No.
The game is great.
The game was fine.
But keep it at 2, 3, 4 players.
I think 4 would be the best.
Because the problem is where the card market is and how much stuff is on the table and how much stuff is going on. The people on the ends really got hosed, so we had to introduce this
I know.
turn-based buying system, which worked.
But didn't work well because that's not how the game was set up to work.
Right.
So, like, we made it work for me and your other friend on
Patrick.
Patrick. We made it work for Patrick and I, but then it still really didn't work. And then the game's long anyway.
It is a long game.
And because of how we had to do it, it was that much worse.
Now, that said, the actual tournament phases and the built deck stuff was essentially identical. The only difference is you had those phases last longer. It's just not a 6-player game.
It's not a 6-player game. Like, it's cute to think that it could be.
Yeah.
The problem is like the boards aren't big enough. If you have a table that's big enough to be able to handle everything, your people on the end are still on the end. Or you sit there and you shift everything so 3 on one side, 3 on the other side. Well, then you've got 4 people that are going to have that problem.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's still a game I absolutely love. You came out of it more positive than I expected you to.
Yeah.
And you even told me, like, I want to play this again just with less people.
Yeah. Oh, so I could have played it again. Like, we could have had like a breather game and had to play a 4-player game. I would have played a 4-player game.
It's a great game.
It's a great game.
There's a reason I own everything for it.
It was that the full collection? Is there like a huge amount?
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
There's a lot there.
The game that I have finally been able to solidify my opinion on, and if it weren't for the fact that Natalie said that she wants to try being the knower, it would already be gone at this point. We played Things and Rings again. And we've talked about it on the pod before. I have such a mixed opinion on it because the game is so squishy. And every game I've played at every player count, and I've played it all the way down to 3 people. I've played it all the way up now to, I think we had 8 or 9 people in that game. Which, it was arguably too many, but just shifting the rules for the solo mode to, I just have a couple more cards in my hand. Oh no, it was fine.
Right.
The game's a miss. I understand why it came out. I think it was doing something right, but end of the day, nobody is ever excited about it. I've taught it in a variety of situations. I've taught it at cons. I've taught it just on random game nights. I've taught it to people that play games and don't play games, and the reaction is universally, there's too much squishiness in it. And that's a shame for me. I'm going to play it again because Natalie wants to try being the knower and getting her opinion on that, but nobody picks it. Nobody wants it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then the last one that I just want to do a quick mention on was Tower Up. And Tower Up came out at Gen Con. I made a trade for it right around then. It was relatively inexpensive. I think its initial cost was $35, maybe $40. We played this on Sunday, and I fell in love with it. It is everything that I wanted High Rise to be, and it's everything I wanted Sky Rise to be. And I'm going to hit you with it for a Why Did I Play That coming up.
Oh, nice.
It is a area control game that pretends to not be an area control game, but is really vicious and cutthroat based on how you're able to actually play your tower blocks and build things. Really, really challenging and interesting decision space with super minor rule set. I think the rules are a back and forth of 2 pages. Like, they are short rules, and it is a short game, but there's really meaty. Really enjoyed that one. I'm looking forward to trying that multiple times and more counts too.
The ones that I'm pulling away from the con, besides the ones I'll be talking about later for Table Shelf and Trade, So Clover.
Always great.
That's such a good game. Because one, it's you're sitting there with your friends and you're trying to figure out how in the world did they come up with these combinations for what they were saying. I had Hurricane was one of mine, and so I had Ear Storm, and you guys had it, and then you taught yourselves out of it, and we know it's storm, but is it this storm? And
because you hear the eye of the storm, you don't hear the ear of the storm,
right.
and then once you get that justification, you hear people's reasons for it. It's like, oh, that.
Because of the spiral, how the ear goes in. That was the only way I could, and I was also thinking 3-letter word started with an E. Maybe they'll just pick. Oh, he didn't have eye, he has ear. There we go. You
Yeah.
know, I was hoping for that. It didn't work, but it's okay. We still got 4 points out of it. Just one. That was just fun.
Still angers me there's not an English expansion for it. There is in German, just not for English.
That's crazy.
I know. I know.
Green team wins. That was my first win for the con because I was the only one that got 20 points. That was so fun. I'm
did
surprised.
real badly.
You did horrible. Did you get like 4 or something
No,
like that?
I had like 12, but considering most people were in that like 16, 17 range, I was out of it.
The other one, like, I mean, we did the quick little filler of Get Bit. It's a silly little game. It was great? Fine. It's fine. But it was that one, like, oh, hey, we're transitioning into a couple things. We'll pull this out and let you guys see it. Of course, I got the new version and not the old version. I mean, I have the old version somewhere, so I'll probably get rid of the new one. I prefer the older one, personally.
I think what caused that one to be a little rougher was we came off of a game that I really disliked. Like really badly disliked. I would give it a 2. And then we went into that one and I wasn't a huge fan of it. And then we went into one I'm going to be talking about later that I also wasn't a fan of. So I feel like my opinions on that game were just kind of this morass of this was the weakest part of the evening.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, it was fine. It's quick enough. I just don't like the rules of, oh, there's only 2 players left. Whoever's in second automatically dies.
Right.
That sucks.
Yeah, that stunk. The only other one that I could think about was Deception Murder at Hong Kong. Because I was the witness and could not... That was like a wah-wah because it was like we had a lawyer and so she was able to convince everybody it was a certain thing and so everyone went that way. And hearing what Jason was saying and what Courtney was saying, I couldn't get anyone to get off of it because I knew they were the bad guys. Oh,
Natalie looked at me. She's like, I had Courtney and Jason immediately. And apparently she gave you some look and you confirmed it to her and like, yeah, it was a surprisingly harder combination I was expecting.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I mean, Deception is one of those games that I've played so many times. It used to be like the staple. We play this every game night for months. Right. So I have played that so many times.
Same.
And it's one that even though it doesn't come out super frequently anymore, it is just kind of a nostalgic, warm, fuzzy feeling for me. So
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that is our what did we play and
which
kind
was
of
still
our
a lot.
MacWagCon wrap up stuff.
Yeah.
Good times. Any other ones that you would just want to mention specifically before we go into it?
Other than the ones that we're gonna talk about, I mean, not really.
All right. Well, let's head on to our topic of the week. So our topic of the week this week, we want to talk about something that we've mentioned certainly quite a bit. And if you're part of the hobby, then you know exactly what we're talking about. And it's the teach. Now, I know that there are many resources out there about this. Frankly, there is an excellent video that Quinn's did when he was still at Shut Up and Sit Down that went into significantly more detail than we're about to. So if you are interested in what we're talking about and you want a fuller tutorial of how to do the teach, go check that out. But otherwise, really what we want to talk about is what makes the teach difficult. What is it on the person teaching the game? What is their responsibility? And is there any way to get around kind of the frustration that the teach is? Because there aren't many hobbies that require homework before and during doing the activity. I mean, there's certainly you're going to go out and practice, and you're going to play, and you're going to do stuff when you're playing sports or instruments. But the fact that you have to take a giant wad of information and then condense it and transform it and transfer it, frankly, it's made me better at my job because I know how to take complex technical ideas and, wind them down like this.
Yeah, and turn it into word vomit so that we can understand it.
Or write reports with it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you're sitting there and you're looking at, you said what are the problems with doing a teach? Sometimes it's the game itself. So sometimes you have a very difficult game. That is a problem. More often than not, especially with my group of friends, it's my friends. We're friends.
Yeah.
We come to the table to sit and to play and to have a good time. Part of that having a good time is finding out what everybody's doing and what's going on. And it might have been 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month or 4 months since I've seen you last. And so, yes, I'm here to play games, but I'm also here to foster the relationships of the people that are at the table. So I don't know how many times during MacWagCon, since, that's the overarching theme of this, is how long it took us to get done talking to each other about what's happened in our real lives so we could get to the board game. Shoot, your wife and we talked at length about several things. And
just this evening.
Yeah. We weren't recording other than like other supplementary stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing is that, I mean, it's why you play games with your friends because they're a part of your life.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's also the bad thing is that I haven't seen them in a while.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that I haven't seen memes of what it's like to be the game teacher, but boy, there's so many more from the perspective of, and he's talking and I'm not listening. Because no matter how interesting a game can be or how smoothed out or anything, man, I just know too many people that just don't listen. And it breaks down to, okay, here's the rough idea. I'm just going to learn as I go and I'm just going to ask more questions. And that is not the way I learn.
Right.
And I know that the problem is you are like 80% on the line with me where you will follow along and then you will give me that, oh, I didn't know that rule. And you'll say that 3/4 of the way through the game. You're like, I said that multiple times. And then somebody else at the table will be like, yeah, no, he did. But just because
that one just missed. Yeah.
And it always turns out to be like a really important one that you missed too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, thinking even at MacWagCon when we were trying to...
Happened in Millennium Blades.
Yeah. Yeah. Like when we had the group down here. Like we had just got done playing Ready, Set, Bet. I still had on my phone. I kept using the Kentucky Derby bugle to get everybody's attention so that we could continue to like have you teach the rest of the game because it would take nothing for one of us to get distracted and completely derail everybody's learning experience. So, and like you're cracking up.
Oh yeah,
trying to be serious, and my silly butt is sitting here hitting a button, and everyone's like laughing.
Natalie and her friends, the WhoopWag group, can so easily derail each other, and I love them all.
Yes,
they're all loud.
Yes.
And so it's very easy for them to get derailed and then break stuff. And so that's something that as the teacher, as you're doing it, is trying to rein in and realize, okay, I may have 4.5 clear, attentive minutes of the majority of the group. How am I going to get this stated?
Right.
Which is why we come into it so often theme forward, because if the theme grabs somebody, then they're more likely to pay attention.
Yep.
I think that's why we lead there. And anytime that we can use the boards themselves, that's why Dinosaur Island is actually so easy to teach, is you sit there and say, okay, we're in Jurassic Park. Here's board 1. Here's board 2. And you go down the whole line. It's like anytime a game is like that, or a game like Ovation, where you can just throw the rule book on the table with the backside up and say, here are all the turns. Here's what you need to know. Let's go. Because anytime it turns into more than a 5 to 10 minute teach, you better be my heavy game playing friends, because I know I'm just never going to have them.
Right.
And so I think it's something that part of the teach is just game selection and knowing your audience.
Yeah.
Because there are games that I know Natalie would love, but she's just not going to pay attention to that many rules. She's just not.
I mean, also, you kind of have to look at, like, what have you played before? There's also, what time of the day you're trying to do this. Like, there's been plenty of games where, continue to talk about Nelly, and it's like, this looks very interesting. It's 11.
Yeah.
And she's like, this is an 8 o'clock game. This is the first game of the evening, not the third. And we're all like, you're absolutely correct.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So it is. It's another know your people.
Yeah. I think when it comes down to approaching the teach, the only last thing I want to talk about, and kind of this quick conversation about it, is just the idea of know the game, know the rules ahead of time. Nothing is worse. Nothing is more misery inducing than sitting there and having a person be like, okay, plop, I'm going to put the rule book on the table and I'm going to read it out to you. It's like, be prepared. You've already taken the time to find the game, buy the game, punch the game, set the game up, know how to play it. It is just an endless slog for me to sit there and have to listen to somebody else read a rule book to me. If you're the teacher, it is incumbent upon you to be the fountain of information, or alternately be the friend that friend can be like, here's the rules, can you teach this game? I've done that many, many times as well.
Yeah.
So
the only other thing that I can sit there like as like a little cherry on top of the Teach Sunday, is that be enthusiastic about your game.
Yeah.
Even if you're having just like a rough day, fake it till you make it, because a lot of that's in your head. So if you can act a little bit more excited, then it's going to make people interested in actually learning how to play the game.
That's absolutely a fair point, because if you're not excited about your game, then why are the people at your table going to be?
Exactly.
That's a really good point. And there have been games where I have read the rules and the game has come out much differently, both positively and negatively. And I remember sitting there with Penny Lane. And for as screamingly average of a game that was, it is surprising to me how often I think back to it and think about that teach and that experience, because I remember in the middle of the teach, just looking at say, like, there are things that I suspect are going to happen in this because of the way they are presented in the rules. I'm not going to say them to you, but know that this look that's on my face is because I have a feeling I know what's going to happen. And you look at me like, huh? Like, just trust me. And when we had our post-game conversation, you're like, was it this, this, and this? I'm like, it is all of those things. That is exactly what I was thinking when I was reading the rule book. But yeah, it's one of those where you never know what's going to come out of it, but definitely come to the table excited.
Yeah, fake it. Just fake it. Hey, BATT Family, Scott here. Join me and my friends for a weekly live play tabletop storytelling game on Theater Geeks Twitch channel. Check out www.twitch.tv/theatergeeks on Sundays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Oh, it's time for my absolute favorite segment.
Why did I, or in this case, you, play that?
Yeah.
Look, this was a surprise one. I did not expect this to become a why did I play that?
Oh, I didn't expect how visceral it became for me.
That's fair. I think of every game we've talked about in the past.
Yeah.
This is by far the widest disparity. I think we have like a 7-point difference on this.
Oh, very much so.
And I firmly believe everybody should play this game at least once.
Uh-huh.
I really do.
Sure.
And I'm not saying in every position, I'm just saying you should be part of the experience, because very few things in board gaming does what Captain Sonar does.
Very true.
Captain Sonar, if you do not know, is essentially real-time battleship with 8 people instead of 2. And yes, there are ways to play with less than 8 people. No, you never want to play them with anything less than 8 people. There is a way to play it both real-time and turn-based. I have played both. Turn-based is good, and it is helpful for people that cannot take a lot of that time pressure, but I will very much prefer to play it in real time. This gets pulled out about once a year, generally at MacWagCon. I don't take it to Gen Con just because the games I take there are so limited. Mm-hmm. But I really, truly, firmly believe everybody, if you're a gamer, should play this game at least once.
Yep.
Because it is so unique. The 30,000 foot view is you are playing real-time battleship. Each team has a submarine. They are going to be moving around the submarine in vaguely hidden movement-ish ways, and the other team is trying to find them and sink them. And you're just trying to survive and shoot the other team out of the water. Each team is broken into 4 roles. The first is the captain. Unsurprisingly, they're the ones that are going to be deciding which way the submarine is going. North, south, east, west, however they go, that's where they go. They have to consult with the rest of the team to make their decisions and figure out what's going on. So on one side of the captain, because they will be sitting across from each other, is going to be the first mate. The first mate's job is just simply charge the weapon systems, consult with the captain, and let them know, hey, these are the systems we're working on filling. How do you want me to use this? And in certain situations, they can fire off a system just because they have the ability to. Maybe the captain's talking to the radar operator. On the other side of the captain is the radar operator. And the radar operator's job is just simply listen to the captain, listen to the opposing captain. Because the captains, as they are moving the submarine around, are essentially playing a game of Snake, because you are not allowed to cross over your path and you cannot cross over an island. Those are pre-printed on the boards. And so they are trying to just simply keep the submarine moving. And based on the fact that both teams are using the same maps, the radar operator, if they are following along and hearing everything and taking the notes, have a giant piece of acetate that they are using dry erase markers on, and they are just sliding it around to try and find where on the map the calls that they have been hearing from the other team match up so they can fire weapons off and do what they need to do. All that is supplemented by the fourth person on the end, who is the engineer. And the engineer is just simply hearing, we're going north, I have to knock a system off in the north. We're going east, now I have to knock one off in the east. And there is a interesting set of interchanges that has to happen between the captain and the engineering team of, if we go this way and then we go this way, we can heal the systems and now we have weapons up and running. Because as soon as a single system has any of their icons knocked off, the entire system is down. So in addition to the captain having to understand, where am I going? What systems am I charging? Where do we think they are? It's, can we actually use our weaponry? And can we keep moving before we have our nuclear reactor overload, overheat, hurt us, cause damage to the sub? There is a way that you can surface, and depending on which mode you're playing in real time or turn-based will change the process a little bit. But essentially, when you surface, you get to completely heal your submarine and you tell the opposing team exactly where you're sitting. Like I said, depending on the mode you're playing, there's different ways to resolve how you actually get to go back into the depths, but that's what you're going to do. And it is this loud, frantic game where the captain, which is by far the most stressful spot in the crew, is talking to everybody. First mate is sitting there just constantly talking to the captain, trying to get the other team's attention so that way he can call stop and get the systems off. Radio operator is just feeling the pressure of, oh my gosh, do I know where they are? And engineering is sitting down there freaking out because we can't do anything because this idiot captain is going in circles and I have every system getting checked off, and if we don't surface soon, the sub is going to blow up. I love it. I think it's incredible. This game is a 9 for me. Really, what hurts the game is it must be 8 players, and it comes out once a year. I love everything this game does.
So this is a 2. You did the teach, and, it was still early enough in the day that we were pumped and hyped. I was like, yo, cool, I finally get to play this game. And then as you started to explain the rules, I literally felt my heart start to race. And I have no problem with real-time games. Mm-hmm. None. Trying to figure out in movement, trying to figure out all that. None of those problems. I don't know what it was about this game that decided to have such a visceral reaction.
You looked bad by the end of it.
I mean, I was pretty much unable to play games for an hour and a half, almost?
Anything of serious complication, because we stopped and had the pizza time.
Pizza break, because you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, we were all hungry. I mean, it was going to happen. But,
yeah, because it was Saturday night when we played it, and we had already been playing games for 4 or 5 hours at that point, so clearly your brain was turned on and ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
But
it's one of those games, like, I have heard multiple times. It's a game you have to play.
I will say, after teaching this game to dozens of people, you are not unique in your response. Generally, I find people do tend to like it, but you are by no means the only person I've had walk out being like, never again.
Yeah, our group has several games where they say never again. Yeah, I would have to be on something. In all honesty, I would either have to have some sort of medication in me or have been having libations for me to ever sit down in front of that game again. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with the game. The concept is fantastic. Like, the components are very, very nice. Mm-hmm. Like, everything works very, very well. No.
I even have the campaign mode for the game, so we could play it in a campaign.
Not with me.
I mean, it's never going to happen anyway, because the campaign is like 6 games long, Operation Dragon. But one of the great parts about that game is there's, 3 or 4 maps that are based in the box. And then there's a whole bunch of little expansions and mini packs. And I have everything except for the German exclusive. I think it's like Operation Vector or something, where just depending on what map you're playing is going to change the experience of the table. In fact, I showed the one which is hilarious. It's the Chicago map, because you're just playing in Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
Really crazy looking map when you know the game. It's a really, really great game that brings out very strong opinions. Mm-hmm. And frankly, I have had people even in the turn-based mode say, I can't do this. I can't do this. It doesn't surprise me.
Like, I was in the first mate role, which is technically the easiest. I was doing fine, He was calling a move. I was filling in a box. That was what my job was. I was letting him know what we had available. I was telling him, based on what I was recognizing, where my guesses were. Like, I was like, hey, you probably should do this. And my captain listened. I was almost physically ill by the end of that game.
We normally try to play Escape from the Aliens in Outer Space at MacWagCon as well.
Yeah.
And I looked at you multiple times throughout the rest of the night. And it was, are you okay to play it yet? And you just were not mentally there. And then by the time you were, we were under optimal player count for that game. So it didn't come out.
Yeah.
But again, that is not any kind of like, I'm really mad at you. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because the game is high stress. There's a lot going on and it's fast. The game normally, each session normally takes under a half an hour. And the teach, I think I'm good enough at it. I've done it enough times that it's less than 10 minutes, even to cover all 4 roles. It's just a lot. The game is a lot.
Like, I might try it one more time, but I'd want to do radio. But that, again, that's a might. And that's a very, don't put any money down.
No.
But yeah, no. So the game is just not, it's just not for me. I have never had a reaction to a game like that before. Like that bad.
Yeah. Because we talked about it where the only game that I've really had that viscerally terrible reaction to is Factory Funner. I played the new all play version of it. And that game legitimately made me sick, gave me a migraine, had me stop playing games that day. The other players at the table, all fine. But that game just made myself just break in a way that no other game has done. And I can't say I was expecting you to go into the game that way, but man, watching you through the teach and then watching you at the end of it, like there's a reason I told you, you just need to be first mate because you looked at me like, I don't know where to go. I'm not going to be captain. I'm like, go to first mate.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because both you and Jason were like, oh my God, Scott, you would be a great captain. And I went, oh no. And maybe, but yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't feel bad. The only thing I can say is like, I hope it didn't ruin anybody else's time.
Everybody else had a fun time with it.
Okay, good. My discomfort, my apparent discomfort, didn't ruin anybody else's time. That would be my only concern. Because there was another we had a 9th person who could have played.
But they knew that they had to leave quickly enough. And they're like, you know what? Let's just have you guys play. I'm going to watch. I just want to see how this goes. And my opinion of the game hasn't changed. Like I said, I've had multiple people come away with your experience. I think it is an entirely valid and understandable experience. Yeah. But I still think it is worth having that play because now you've been part of it. Now you can talk about it. Yep. Now you know, oh, these are the people that might actually enjoy this game.
Oh, yeah. For
a game that has unique roles across the team, that has all the things going on it that it does, when you compare it to games like Space Alert and all those, like this one just stands atop that. Real time, asymmetric roles, lots of people. I love this game. Totally get why you didn't.
Yeah. This is definitely a 2, which I do remember your face. You were like, oh, like you figured that it would be like, nah, I don't ever want to play it again, but never like that bad.
And it was quick too.
Yeah. You were like, so you're at 2.
Yeah.
Just the reaction like, oh, you had a number already.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of people that will enjoy it. I definitely do think that everyone, if you know a person who has it, please go play it. I mean, get some of more friends to play it. But yeah.
Thankfully, it is less than a half hour. It really is.
It felt...
I know it may have felt longer.
Oh, it felt longer.
But yeah.
It felt longer, my friend. But yeah. I'm not upset that I did it.
That's good. So let's shift away from stress and negativity. Let's go into Table Shelf and Trade, where I have brought one of each of the ratings, so that way I can start with not stress, but negativity.
I also have one of each, and it is stuff that we played at MacWagCon. So.
Yep, everything that I have here was played at MacWagCon as well. So let's go ahead and have you start off.
Yeah, so I'm going to start off with the trade, and it is, actually, you already talked about it earlier. Things in Rings. I've played it now a handful of times, a little bit more than a handful of times. And every time I walk away feeling, meh, this is a game. And it's a game that I want to like it more, and there's not enough there for me to like it more.
I mean, I already said my thoughts up top.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. I didn't want to do more. I mean, it's a neat concept. Like, I love the idea of a Venn diagram. You sit there because like we all see the ones of like things that are appropriate, things that I find funny, and then in the center is the reason why I'm going to hell. You know, that type of stuff.
To use an example of the game we played, and even when I judged it, I'm like, I don't like this answer. And I will explain why I am saying this at the end. And I promise I'm going to operate off this consistently.
Yep.
and it was lipstick, my categories were 1-syllable words, contains wood, and found in an office.
Right.
And I put it in found in an office because I have worked in a number of professional office jobs where I have seen women keep lipstick in their desk or at very close hand so that way they can freshen up, go into a meeting, whatever. I'm not making a judgment call on whether or not that should be the case, anything, not the point of it, but I'm sitting there thinking it technically can be found in an office because I have seen it found in an office many times. And so when dress came up later, I'm like, it's the same argument. I don't like it. It's not the answer I want to give, but they generally don't contain wood, and there was something about the dress that was more than 1 syllable. Oh no, I put it in the yellow red.
Yep.
And so I'm just like, it's not an answer I like or condone, but
it's not wrong.
It's not wrong, so I can't put it on none. So, and when I explained that at the end of the game, everybody at the table was like, oh, yeah, the reasoning stands. We don't like it, but the reasoning stands. I'm like, and that's the game.
And inherently, that's the problem with the game, because it's like, you as the rule caller have to make a judgment and have to explain it, but you don't get to explain it till everybody gets through all their cards and be like, this is the reason why I claimed it. And like, oh yeah. And so then like people are still might be fuming based on that, like.
Especially since you don't actually have to know the rules. You
Right.
just have to get rid of your cards. And if you're playing cooperatively, which is the way we always play, or competitively, which I never want to play that way, you still don't have to know the rules. You just have to know what it takes to get rid of your cards.
Right.
And that's a bummer, because then why are we doing this?
Right. Yeah. When we were playing the game, I was getting cards in there and my answers were correct, but I didn't have the right reason. Mm-hmm. Like the 1 syllable, I was completely wrong. I thought it was because it had vowels in the center. It just so happened that all the words that were in there had vowels in the center of the word and were also 1 syllable. Now I did get, these all have wood. That I had down pat, but yeah.
But nobody figured the office thing, because there was like carpet and lipstick and a vacuum cleaner.
I don't remember who sat there and said, it's like, well, why isn't broom there if a vacuum...
Because normally speaking, like I have found when I've walked into the maintenance closets of anything, there's a vacuum cleaner and there's a mop. There's not normally a broom in any of the offices I've ever worked at.
Yep. That's your experience. And I've had a different experience. So yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why when that was my answer, I'm like, it's because I've never seen just a standard broom held as regular maintenance items.
Yep. And
so it was a vacuum cleaner.
And so it's not fun when you have to watch people like watch you defend yourself, like, because like, I can't tell you why I have it this way, but I'm gonna do it this way. So yeah, total trade.
That's fair. It's definitely down in that range for me too now. So I have one word for you to tell you what my trade is.
Okay.
Cornflower.
This is what's so funny is because I have Hues and Clues as my table.
Really?
Yes.
Hysterical. Okay, so let's just talk about it together.
Talk about Hues and Clues, yeah.
So Hues and Clues, I have thought it was really interesting looking as a game. I have been wanting to play it since I first saw it at Target or whatever. Never knew anybody to bring it over for an evening. So one of our friends finally did bring it over. It came out with the 4 of us and our standard regular small game group of Natalie, Courtney, yourself, and me. And we played it. And we played it for 3 rounds instead of the 2, because I do think 2 rounds is not enough.
It's not.
With only 4 people. If I'm playing the full 10 that it can support, 2 is probably
way
too long, honestly. But you have this gigantic grid in front of you. It is something on the order of 18 by 24 squares.
Yeah, it's something crazy like that.
Because then the letters, I think, go down to R.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there, maybe P. Regardless, it is a huge board. Lots and lots of color variations. And what ultimately you do is you have one person who is going to pull a card that has 4 colors on it and the coordinates for these specific colors. And you need to give a 1-word clue to get people as close to or hopefully dead on to that color as you can. And if you feel like you are going to score the most points you can out of that, you can just call it and say, okay, I'm just going to show where it is. Or you can go ahead and give a 2-word clue and let them put out a second piece. And once you've said, okay, we're good, I call it, we're going to score, you put out this little box that is a 3x3. And anybody that is in the dead center of it, they're going to score 3 points. Anybody that is in the surrounding 8 squares inside of the box, you're going to score 2 points per token. And if you have a piece on the outside of the box but adjacent to it, you're going to score 1 point per token. Fairly straightforward, and boy howdy, it is really, really hard to describe because so many little variations of color that is manipulated by memory, or that's the color setting on your television, because when Barney came up, we all had 4 very different versions of Barney Purple.
Yep.
I don't like it at all. It's long, and it turns out I'm bad at it because I know what I think Seafoam is. And then there's what everybody else thinks Seafoam is. And while everybody was actually really close on that one, when I gave my 2-word question, you guys went like 8 rows the wrong direction. I'm like, what just happened?
Cornflower. Y'all went yellow.
We did, because we were thinking of milled corn, not the flour.
Well, that would have been corn flour.
I'm aware. Yeah, I know.
It was hysterical.
Because then you said blue jeans, and we're like, wait, what? And then we all had that moment of, oh.
It was the best ADBB moment I have ever seen. ADBB, a dim bulb brightens. I was dying because you all went, oh God. And then you guys, the second one, you guys were all within one. It was hysterical. I was dying. And I think that's why I like it, is because it's one of those things of like, oh yeah, I can see why you think that that's bubblegum. Because that was one of mine, was bubblegum. And all you guys were relatively close. I scored 3 points right away because I was like, cool, boom.
Yeah.
You guys all get 2, I get 3. Perfect.
Thankfully, the rules are very short.
Yep.
They aren't even like 2 paragraphs long.
Nope.
There's a good spread of cards in there. And when you're looking at your card, even if all 4 of them are some variation of green, you know what you're going to have to come up with. And man, I am still so mad that Natalie saw the one card because I said spearmint and you guys were right where I wanted you to be. And I was like, I saw your card. I'm like, dang it, Natalie. It's brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't enjoy it. There is a weird amount of pressure to get in that common vernacular that if we are from different states, if we're from different countries, our experiential viewing of a single color is so different. There's this like realm of green blue that I always end up saying is more green and Natalie ends up saying is more blue. We have had countless arguments over this one particular shirt. That game is really reliant on all the people having the same experience or set of data to operate on, that if you say something that doesn't make sense, I could say Piccolo green because I'm thinking Dragon Ball Z. It's not going to make sense to somebody else if they've never seen Dragon Ball and they're a musician.
Right.
This one in the realm of party games, I mean, I liked it more than Gift Trap. I really dislike Gift Trap, but I don't want to play Hues and Cues again. This is a strict trade for me.
Yeah, no, it's a strict table for me because I like that whole, because you end up having conversation because of it. We giggled about cornflower. It was funny. I thought it was hysterical. Oh, they're thinking corn. Oh, God. And I love Courtney. I was expecting it out of Courtney. I wasn't expecting it out of the 2 of you. When you both did, I went, what? Wait.
It was like 2 a.m. when we played it.
I mean, it was. To be fair.
To be fair.
It cracks me up. It's a total table for me. Oh, what's your third?
So my table is one that you didn't get to play. This happened on Sunday, and we played the game Bacon. Bacon is another small box game from All Play, and it's in that same box size as Things and Rings. In fact, I got them, I believe, the same time. I got them at the same Gen Con. It may have been a different trip because I'm pretty sure All Play just routinely gets the most money out of me at Gen Con.
They're a good company.
They make great games. And Bacon is essentially a just standard card shedding game. You are going to make a set. You are going to play it out and hope that people can not beat the set so that way you can play all your cards out. It's very much in line with Scout. I like Bacon much better than Scout. It's in there with custom heroes. It's in there with BS and, just countless card shedding games. What makes Bacon unique, at the top of every round that you play, and you are playing until a certain point threshold as determined by the player count, and normally speaking, you are actually going to be playing on teams, but in a 3-player game, you're just playing individually, and at the start of every round, you're just handed 2 Bacon cards. The bacon cards are wild for suit, they are wild for number, and they can actually increase one beyond whatever the top number is. Because there are a number of suits in the box, and there's, again, depending on how many people, is going to depend on how many suits can come out and all this other stuff and the maximum numbers. But in a 3-player game, you're going to play 3 suits, 1 to 8, and the bacon can act as a 9. And essentially, you are going to be playing combos, which are, a pair, a run of 3, if you have, 2 pair, whatever. And then there's these specials that all the specials beat all the combos of here's a straight flush, here's 6 of a kind, that type of thing. And so it is just a simple card shedding game that plays really well. If you like that genre, the box size is small, the teach is fast, that trying to figure out when to use your 2 bacon cards is very interesting. Does it do anything screamingly fantastic or unique as far as a card shedding game goes? No, but amongst a lot of what's out there, I enjoy what it does. The card art is silly, and the fact that you have a frying pan as your first player marker, there's a good attention to production. And when you have the deluxe bits and you have these chunky wooden bacon strips and, it's all the things. Is it the greatest thing I've ever played? No. But will I keep it in my collection? Will it be a quick, fun, especially team shedding game? Yeah, because I don't really have that many team shedding games. I have a lot of individual ones. So I liked it. It's a table. If you don't have one, you can find better, but maybe not for the ease of availability and price. I like it a lot, but if somebody said, hey, we're going to play this shedding game, there's very few moments I'm going to look and be like, you know what is better? Bacon.
Yeah, I haven't played that one yet, so.
You'll enjoy it. I think you'll come away with the same opinions.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, again, apparently all of my choices are things that you've already talked about, because my shelf is, and I'm also very happy that it's on your shelf and not my shelf, is Ready Set Bet, because no, that game, I wasn't expecting to like that game as much as I like that game. It's very reminiscent of things that I had in my childhood. My dad we used to have back in the day, there were VHS games, and one of them we had was like a horse racing game, and always cracked me up that we would play it because my little brain would memorize everything. And so then I would win a lot if we played it more than once. And then like the social club that my parents belonged to, they would do that during the summers where they had the huge dice tumbler and the horses would move based on that. So no, that felt very reminiscent of those things. And just for the sheer fact of like how many different ways you can bet and how many different ways you can win. My goodness, that's a good game.
I want to try from the better side, like I said earlier, but I know that I'm going to enjoy being the race announcer more. I am not sure if I'm giving an 8 or a 9. It's not a 10, but
no,
it's really good.
It's really good.
I feel like part of it is going to be group dependent, just because the more you're into it and the more you have people standing and cheering and doing the, oh my gosh, I can't believe you stole my bid. There's a lot of that going on there.
Yes.
There's no squishiness in the rules. There's no, well, which horse is in front of this? No, it's one horse moves each turn.
Yep.
You know who the winner is.
Yep.
And, oh, well, there's 2 or more horses in second. There's no third place. So we know nobody is going to show. The rules are clean enough. And I think it does here's 5 minutes of furious, frantic action, followed by 5 minutes of detox. We're going to hand out the bids. We're going to pull in the losses. And here's your new power. 5 more frantic minutes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because I remember like that third round when I won all my money, I kept getting it down to 0. Like all my bets lost. And then all of a sudden I was like 33 in round 3. Yeah. Jake went, what? How? He was doing decent. He wasn't winning. All of a sudden he's like, you have a ton of red chips. Yeah. I literally catapulted from 0, no money, other than our starters. Well, you don't start with any money. You just have your little chip. Yeah. I literally went from nothing to in the lead on the 3rd horse race. Insane. Yeah. Just, I like big fun swings like that. That's a fun chance game. Yeah. It does help that your losses can be very small compared to how big your gains can be. The fact you can't go negative, the fact that whatever you lose is just the amount printed. It's not multiplied the way your winnings are. Yeah. So it has a lot of feel-good moments and a lot of moments without them feeling bad. It's not like anybody did anything horrible to you. It wasn't like anybody planned anything. It's just how the dice fell. Yeah. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah. Really like Race, I bet. Yep.
So my shelf is a game that we learned at 3 a.m. on Friday.
I've slept since then.
Reiner Knizia is a mad genius.
Oh.
And the fact that this game is almost 30 years old at this point, and I had never played it before, and I do not think I can reasonably give Through the Desert any less than a 10. I just can't, because the game is stunning. It is prime Knizia of here is a small half-page of rules and an endless toy box of abstract possibility. I'm getting rid of the expansion. Don't need it, don't want it, because the base game is so razor sharp. It is a knife fight. And we sat down, we played it, and at the end of it, we just said, this is a knife fight. And when Austin came over the next day and I said we played it, his first words to me is, that game is a knife fight, because that's what it is. Mm-hmm. You have 5 of your camel leaders that you are going to start by placing on the board back and forth from each other. And that positioning is so incredibly important, because then you're going to, on your turn, take 2 camels of the 5 colors. It could be the same, could be different, and you're just going to extend your line. You can't have your same color cross my same color, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Like, there's a couple of other little rules for the tokens that are on the board and trying to set section of area off.
Yeah, Leon, let me try to get this water. Let me get to this oasis. Oh, cool. I'm gonna do this line real fast to block you.
It is just.
And I won by like a couple points.
No, this one was a little more, because it was the difference of you took the 2 red on your last turn, which gave you the majority in red, which was the point swing to prevent us from being tied.
Yep.
And it just, I mean,
yeah,
come on.
Yeah.
I mean, the game is basically an abstract.
Oh,
it's
very much so.
All skill. It's all player decision. It is all playing the player across from you. But good night. The fact that that game at 3 a.m. after everything else we did, and we sat there and were just wiped afterwards, because it was so thinky and
yeah, because
so good.
I was like on the far side of the board. 2 of your colors were next to each other, and I was just like, oh, this was bad.
Yeah,
that was a bad move, Scott. And thankfully you weren't able to monopolize on it, because I was able to get my guy over there to just kind of shorten it by a little bit.
Yeah,
but it wasn't enough.
You pushed me, and instead of, but that's the thing. That is what Through the Desert does, where you sit there and you think back to all these little moments of, oh, had I just held and I pushed you off this way, then this would have been worth more points, and then I shouldn't have been as worried over here because you didn't get over that. Like,
well, it was like I had 3 of my camels at that one oasis, and you're like, oh, I should have gone around and like blocked you. That would have been some. I mean, it still wouldn't have gotten you the win, but it would have definitely made it even closer. And then it was just, it's a great game.
Even with losing that first game, I don't care. I cannot reasonably give this any lower than 10. It is not my favorite Knizia. That's still Amun-Re, but this is top 3 for me.
Yeah, that was a great game. That was a lot of fun.
Really love Through the Desert.
I didn't think I was going to like it. I thought I was toast. I literally thought I was toast that entire game. I'm like, I'm playing a game that Mark's going to win. And then once all the scoring mechanisms kicked in, how did I pull this off?
Because you didn't realize how important some of those 3-point chips were that you got early.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just happened to sit myself in a spot where I was like, oh, hey, look, there's an oasis, or here's a water spot real quick. Okay, let me grab this water spot. Oh, well, let me make this a shape. Let me go to the rock to block you so you can't come this way, but,
I mean,
nuts.
Look, you can find many, many prints of this. It's been out for 30 years, but the new All Play Edition is gorgeous. I really like the wooden pieces that I got as an upgrade.
Yes.
And it infuriates me how small that box is. Because
especially
if you try to put that expansion in,
oh my God,
does not close.
It needs like another millimeter or centimeter.
It doesn't need much. But
just enough.
Boy,
just
it needs to be bigger.
Just to top. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. I think the only sad part about it is that the base components are just, trees are really cool, but the camels are pretty really rough. Yeah. Like, bleh. And then you look at the deluxe, and you're like, okay, the trees kind of, I mean, they look nice, but they aren't stable. But the camels are much better.
Yeah. It's a weird production. I'm glad I have it. I have no reason to replace it.
No.
You don't need the expansion.
No.
Go spend the $30, $40, whatever it is, and just track it down. Through the Desert is insanely good.
Yeah, it's a good one.
All right, Scott. So we are coming into the home stretch here, our rotating segment that we have each week. We are going back to the archives. And this game is one that normally makes MacWagCon for me. It didn't this time. So this is going to be my only game that we did not play this past weekend.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and start with it then?
This is one of my favorite games. It has been a longtime favorite of my group because of its approachability. I don't particularly care for the theme. In fact, I think its sequel / re-implementation is significantly worse. And this is one that if I were ever to try to get rid of, Natalie would be very, very mad at me for. So it will just permanently have a space in the collection. And that is the 2017 AEG release from Josh Wood. That is Cat Lady.
Oh, I like Cat Lady. Cat Lady's a fun one.
It's a strong game. It plays more than 4 players with the expansion, if I recall correctly, but generally it is a 4-player game, and it's just table drafting. You have a 3x3 grid of cards in front of you. You are going to put your piece on one end of one of the rows or columns, and you're going to take those 3 cards, resolve what they say, and just try and get your cats, feed your cats, give your cats some costumes, and some toys. It's a really easy rule set. There are multiple expansions for it that, frankly, I don't think are needed. I have them. I generally actually don't particularly care for them. Box of Treats is fine, but it overcomplicates a very straightforward formula here. And for a game that you can play in 20, 30 minutes and just have a good time because the cat names are silly, the art is silly enough, I love it. It's great. Dog Lover is a bad game.
Really?
Significantly overcomplicates things. It requires you to do like polyomino stuff. It uses what is ostensibly the same system, and it's the same look and the same idea, just done in a very different way. And I really, really strongly dislike it. This is one of the few times that I will actually pick the cat theme because I'm a dog person. Cats are fine. I think cat people are obsessed with cats and cat themed things, and I don't have that energy in my life.
Yeah, I've played Cat Lady. I enjoyed Cat Lady. I have not played the dog one. No, I enjoy Cat Lady. Cat Lady is a great game, personally.
Like I said, that normally comes out for this convention. It just never hit. It's that and Escape from the Aliens didn't come out this past time, and I've talked about Escape from the Aliens plenty in the past. So I figured, you know what? Let's talk about the misses. Let's talk about Cat Lady, because I have played this. I got it from my first Gen Con that I went to in 2017. I have taught it at Brewworks. I have taught it to all kinds of people all over the place. I've played it physically. I've played it digitally. I've played it just scads. It's a great game.
Nice.
Little, quick, solid little game.
Yeah, it's a nice little game. The game I'm going to talk about just literally had its 10th anniversary. It was released at Gen Con last year, and that is probably one of the cutest games that I've played in a long time because everything's done all nice and kawaii, and that would be Sushi Go.
Man, you had so much fun just bouncing that pudding.
Nellie's like, stop hitting the pudding. I'm like, but I get to hit the pudding because I have the most pudding. So I just kept hitting it because it was hysterical. I mean,
it's a squishy pudding. Everybody wants a squishy pudding.
Natalie looked so upset that she didn't have more pudding than me to take the squishy pudding from me. And then you had more, and then like literally
I had it the first time.
Yep.
You took it from me, and then I tied you on them. I'm like, dang it, I want that back.
Yep. And I just got keep playing with it. If you somehow don't know what Sushi Go is, you're just trying to make the best sushi dinner possible by trying to match up different food types have different rules. So, your nigiri, they're worth points. You want to put wasabi on them because wasabi makes them worth more. And then you want sashimi. You need at least 3 sashimi. And then you have the tempura. You don't want just 1. You want 2. But you don't want more than 2 unless you get 4. Because then,
No.
It's hysterical. And then we talked about the pudding. Pudding is dessert. You want to have the most pudding, but you don't want to have the least.
No.
Which, honestly, it was kind of funny because Courtney would have had like 1 more pudding. The 3 of you would have tied.
Something like that, yeah.
And you all would have had -6, and I would have been the only one with points.
It is a great game, especially just as a conversation game. I'm not sure we actually paid attention to the game, but we've also all played it.
Yeah.
an ungodly amount. So we were just sitting there passing cards, talking, and it's what you've referred to as a diner game, hands down. And that new edition is great for it because it comes in the little box. And yeah, there's scoring cubes and some other things. You can use the pudding thing. But at the end of the day, like, you can just take that little box out of the cool tin. That's all you need. Just sign to track scores and you're good.
Basically.
So
yeah, I've always enjoyed it. I mean, I've got Sushi Go Party. Same. I mean, I know Jason even has the sushi roll.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, I haven't played that version of it.
And then there's like the dim sum, like pick and pass or something. I forget what it is. It's got like a big thing.
But I mean, it's just a fun game. It's one of those, honestly, this is, if you like lightweight games that actually do have a little bit of strategy to it. I mean, it's still very light, but there is a little bit of strategy. It's a perfect game. Get it in your shelf. It needs to be there. And I mean, my goodness.
The other nice thing with the 10th anniversary as well is it has some alternate versions for the puddings. Mm-hmm. So you can change out one of the cards kind of the way Sushi Go Party does, but without needing to go that far down the line.
Right.
And the stuff that's in it, I have not seen in either the promos or anything for Sushi Go Party before. So I've seen the new 10th anniversary tin at Barnes & Noble, so I know it's in the wild, but I know it's a numbered limited edition. So I don't know how in the wild it is.
I know when I picked up mine at Gen Con, they went fast.
They did.
I think Jason wanted it, and by the time he was able, it was gone.
Yeah.
I got mine the first day because I was like, I'm worried that this one's going to go, and I definitely wanted it. And even when I picked it up, there was not a ton left. That was not a big pile. Really
pretty cards. They changed the card back, and they're a little smaller, but they have that gold foiling on it, which on one hand, it's gorgeous. On the other hand, it means you can't use any of the promos or anything else with it because you'll know what they are. But, I mean, it's Sushi Go.
Well, I mean, the red and gold is the tradition for good luck. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Such a fun one.
Yeah, great game. Thank you so much for listening to us. If you'd like to get in touch with Scott and myself or any of the other theater geeks in relation to Board All the Time, you can hit us up at boardallthetimegaming@gmail.com, on Blue Sky at boardallthetime.bsky.social. You can visit us on our website, boardallthetime.com, where we have a newsletter sign-up, feedback form, archive of our episodes, and links to all of our social media, including our Facebook page. You can also join us on our Discord. The server link is in the episode notes. And finally, we'd like to ask that if you enjoy our episodes, please give us the like and follow us on your platform of choice. We know you hear that a lot, but after doing this many episodes, we really do now understand how important it is to help the show grow. Regardless, thank you again for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.
At this time, we'd like to thank our sponsors. Do you like shiny math rocks? I like shiny math rocks. Go to Robin's Nerd Supplies and use the code TheaterGeeks and receive 10% off your order. Links to the website is in our episode notes. Also, we'd like to thank EcoL Press, a local printing company here in the South Bend area. Happens to be a union shop, and they do everything for your gaming printing needs. And what's so nice is that they're environmentally friendly. You will also be able to check them out in our episode notes.
Well, MacWagCon is in the books, and now so are you. I'm really bored of you. Get out of my house.
Fine. I hope you lose Captain Sonar.
I don't really care, because if I do, though, I still got to play it. I like it. Nope, wrong button. What's really frustrating is there's no way for me to just like stop the cue.
No, there's no way for you to stop it. This will be the funniest blooper for me. Okay, hold on.
You know what sucks? There's already one in there. That's me doing that.
I know, right? Oh, okay.
It's just me going, oh, wrong cue.
Okay, give me a moment.